2025 already gave us some massive hits, but not every release this year got the spotlight. Some games slipped past the hype, even if they shine just as bright. They may not have the biggest marketing or fanfare, but they bring fresh ideas and surprising quality, and that's exactly what we're exploring today. 12 games from 2025 you probably missed. Your journey starts with nothing but a name, a locket, and questions. Hell Is Us drops you into the war-ravaged land of Hadia, where monsters called Hollow Walkers roam. You take on the role of Raimi, a deserter returning to his homeland in search of his parents. The twist? There are no waypoints, no objective markers, no hand-holding, only environmental clues, NPC hints, and your own wits to guide you. Combat mixes raw emotion with survival instincts. Weapons like swords, polearms, and axes carry different attack styles, and your stamina ties directly to your health, making every fight a tactical test. A drone saves your life one moment, or draws enemies away the next. Death is not a gameplay loop, it's something to fear and overcome. Exploration is stripped down and immersive. Instead of mini-maps or quest markers, you piece together clues from your conversations and the environment. It's a design choice inspired by old-school games, where the thrill came from connecting the dots yourself. The result is a tense, moody action-adventure that thrives on atmosphere and discovery. Some players will find the cryptic approach challenging. Notes are sparse, text can be small, and the pace demands patience. But if you're drawn to emotional storytelling framed by survival and secrets, Hell Is Us is a beautifully unsettling ride. And here's the best part. It officially launches today, and I went ahead and dropped it into this video so you can be among the first to explore it. The Like a Dragon franchise is no stranger to wild ideas, but this entry takes things in a bold new direction. Instead of the familiar streets of Kamurocho, the spotlight is on Goro Majima, waking up in Hawaii with no memory and somehow reinventing himself as a pirate. It sounds absurd, but it fits the series perfectly, blending chaos, comedy, and heartfelt storytelling in a tropical setting. Gameplay strikes a balance between the classic beat-em-up roots and fresh mechanics. Street fights remain brutal and over the top, but now you also set sail, explore islands, and battle rival pirate crews. It's a mix of hand-to-hand chaos and action RPG elements, constantly shifting between serious narrative beats and pure absurdity, like Majima singing karaoke on a ship after a brutal fight. The Hawaiian backdrop gives the series a fresh energy. Bright markets, volcanic landscapes, and seafaring missions make the world feel different yet familiar. It ties neatly to the events of Infinite Wealth, but still stands on its own as one of the year's most entertaining spin-offs. It may not have had the same marketing push as bigger titles, but fans agree it delivers exactly what Like a Dragon does best. Unpredictable fun, emotional moments, and characters you'll never forget. A pirate-themed Yakuza game sounded like madness, yet it turned out to be one of the boldest and most refreshing releases of 2025. Tony Hawk 3 and 4 is more than just a remaster. It feels like a celebration of one of gaming's most iconic series. These two classics from the early 2000s have been rebuilt with modern visuals, tighter controls, and tons of extra features, but they still carry the same energy that made them unforgettable in the first place. Whether you grew up on the original PlayStation or are discovering them for the first time, this package shows exactly why the franchise defined an era. The gameplay is as addictive as ever, pulling off combos, chaining manuals, grinding rails, and launching insane tricks still feels just as smooth. But now everything runs at higher resolution and frame rate, making every move even more satisfying. Both campaigns are here in full, letting you relive every part, every challenge, and every hidden objective. On top of that, you can dive into multiplayer, create your own skater, or even build custom skate parks to share. The soundtrack is another highlight, a mix of punk, hip-hop, and rock that instantly throws you back into the vibe of the early 2000s skate culture. It's impossible not to get hooked when the music kicks in as you hit a perfect combo. This remake doesn't just preserve nostalgia, it modernizes it. Tony Hawk 3 and 4 stands as proof that a great game never loses its spark. Decades later, it's still just as fun to pick up the board and keep skating. Sometimes a game doesn't need to reinvent the wheel to grab your attention, it just needs to combine the right pieces in a fresh way. That's exactly what Eternal Strands does. At first glance, it looks like a typical fantasy action adventure, but once you step into the boots of Bryn, the world opens up in unexpected ways. Armed with a magical cloak, you can wield elemental powers that shape how you fight and how you explore. Freeze rivers into solid bridges, burn away obstacles, or lift heavy boulders with telekinesis to crush enemies. It's not just about combat, it's about using the environment itself as a weapon and a puzzle. Every cliff, wall, or surface can be climbed, giving that go-anywhere freedom that makes exploration addictive. Boss fights take things even further. The game pits you against towering creatures that demand both strategy and creativity. You're not just hacking away at health bars, you're exploiting weaknesses, using elements to tip the fight in your favor, and climbing massive foes like something straight out of Shadow of the Colossus. What makes Eternal Strands stand out in 2025 is how it balances scale and simplicity. It's not drowning you in systems, it's focused, stylish, and constantly rewarding experimentation. It feels like one of those sleeper hits people will look back on and wonder how it didn't get more attention. Gears of War Reload isn't just another remaster, it's a celebration of one of Xbox's most iconic franchises. Nearly 2 decades after the original release, this version brings back Marcus Fenix and Delta Squad with updated visuals, smoother performance, and all the explosive intensity that made the series legendary. The core of the game remains intact, a gritty, third-person shooter where every firefight feels brutal, tactical, and cinematic. The cover system, which set the standard back in 2006, still feels tight and rewarding. Ducking behind walls, blind firing to suppress enemies, and timing those perfect reloads with the active reload system. It all makes combat feel sharp and satisfying, but Reload enhances the experience with modern upgrades. 4K resolution, higher frame rates, better lighting, and rebuilt cutscenes that make the story hit harder than ever. Campaign mode shines with its mix of action and desperation, pulling you into a world on the brink of collapse. The Locust Horde is relentless, and every battle feels like a desperate fight for survival. On top of that, the cooperative experience remains one of the highlights, whether you're running through the story with a friend or testing your skills in multiplayer. What makes Reload stand out is how it respects the original while polishing it for new audiences. It's a reminder of why Gears became such a phenomenon. Intense combat, iconic characters, and a world dripping with atmosphere. For fans who grew up with it, this is pure nostalgia. For newcomers, it's the perfect place to start the saga. Shinobi is one of those legendary Sega names that many old-school gamers remember from the arcade, Master System, and even the PlayStation 2 era. In 2025, it finally came back with Shinobi, and honestly, it feels like the return nobody expected, but everybody wanted. You play as Jiro, a new shinobi who finds himself betrayed by his own clan and thrown into a world where demons and mythological creatures roam freely. The game mixes classic side-scrolling action with modern mechanics, creating a flow that feels both fresh and nostalgic. You can sprint along walls, chain acrobatic moves, unleash katana combos, and even tap into mystical ninja powers that give you an edge in combat. The levels are carefully designed, almost like those old-school stages we grew up memorizing, but expanded with vertical exploration and hidden paths. Boss fights are highlights. Massive Oni, cursed beasts, and rival ninjas that push your reflexes to the limit. It's challenging, sometimes even punishing, but never unfair. What makes Art of Vengeance stand out is how it captures the spirit of classic action RPGs from the PS2 days, while still embracing modern polish. The CL-shaded art has that painted, anime-like look, but the darker tone keeps it grounded, giving you that same raw energy older fans will remember. It may not have the same marketing power as today's big AAA hits, but it doesn't need to. For anyone who's ever loved the old Sega classics, or missed the PS2 action RPG vibe, this game is one of the most rewarding surprises of the year. Dynasty Warriors Origins is Koei Tecmo's big attempt to bring new life into one of the longest-running action franchises. Instead of being another high-numbered sequel, Origins takes players back to the very beginning of the saga, reintroducing the Three Kingdoms setting with modern visuals and gameplay designed to welcome both newcomers and veterans. It's meant to be a fresh entry point, and it succeeds by blending the chaos of Musu battles with a more polished presentation. The core gameplay is everything fans expect. Massive battlefields filled with hundreds of soldiers, where you cut through waves of enemies with flashy combos and screen-shaking specials. But Origins also adds smarter enemy AI, larger maps with layered objectives, and a stronger sense of battlefield strategy. Instead of mindlessly button mashing, you're constantly reacting to shifting conditions, commanding allies, and making quick decisions that can turn the tide. Visually, it's stunning. Cinematic cutscenes, dynamic camera work during finishers, and improved animations that make the action feel more impactful than ever. The sense of scale is impressive too, with huge armies clashing while castles burn in the distance. For longtime fans, Origins feels like a love letter to what made Dynasty Warriors addictive in the first place. For new players, it's the best place to jump in, offering a fresh story and modern design without being weighed down by years of sequels. It's still pure Musou at heart, chaotic, satisfying, and endlessly fun, but with enough updates to feel exciting in 2025. Raidbound is one of the standout action releases of 2025, and it feels like the perfect mix of old-school challenge and modern polish. The game follows Candy, a skilled kunoichi, and a rival from the Spider Clan, who are forced into an uneasy alliance. Their mission? To stop a looming threat that endangers both clans, all while uncovering secrets tied to Ryu Hayabusa's timeline. Fans of the classic series will immediately recognize the DNA of Ninja Gaiden here. Blistering speed, sharp combat, and enemies that show no mercy. The gameplay is exactly what you'd hope for in a Gaiden revival. Every strike has weight, combos flow with precision, and dodging at the right time feels as crucial as landing a hit. Boss fights push you to the limit, demanding patience, reflexes, and mastery of your arsenal. It's not a game that lets you button mash your way through. It expects you to learn, adapt, and grow with each encounter. What makes Raidbound shine is its style. The environments blend neon-soaked cityscapes with ancient temples, giving each mission a distinct atmosphere. Animations are fluid, cutscenes stylish, and the soundtrack amps up the tension with a mix of heavy percussion and traditional Japanese melodies. It's tough, sometimes punishingly so, but that's exactly the point. This isn't a casual action game. It's a return to the roots of what made Ninja Gaiden infamous. For veterans, it's a nostalgic rush. For newcomers, it's a trial by fire. Either way, Raidbound proves there's still room for ninjas to dominate the modern action scene. South of Midnight is one of the most distinctive releases of 2025, and it doesn't look or feel like anything else out there. Developed by Compulsion Games and published under Xbox Game Studios, it blends southern folklore, myth, and a haunting atmosphere into an action-adventure that immediately stands apart. You play as Hazel, a young woman who inherits ancient weaving magic that lets her fight twisted creatures drawn from deep South legends. The mix of supernatural powers and traditional combat creates a style that feels fresh while staying easy to pick up. The setting is one of its biggest strengths. Instead of generic fantasy or sci-fi, South of Midnight embraces the culture of the American South with bayous, small towns, and folklore-inspired monsters. The stop-motion animation style used for cutscenes gives it a surreal storybook quality, while gameplay sticks to fluid exploration and combat. That mix makes the game stand out as both strange and beautiful. It's also approachable in a way many 2025 releases aren't. The campaign is tight, clocking in under 15 hours, with puzzles and exploration balanced against intense fights. While it might not have the scale of a massive open-world title, it delivers something rarer, a focused, original experience that feels handcrafted. On Xbox Series consoles, PC, and Game Pass, South of Midnight is a reminder that not every great game needs hundreds of hours. Sometimes a shorter, more personal journey leaves the biggest mark. The Phantom Next isn't your typical sequel. Instead of following Joker and the Phantom Thieves, it takes place in a parallel world where their influence never existed. New characters step into the spotlight with their own powers, struggles, and mysteries to uncover. It's a fresh angle that expands the Persona universe without retelling what we already know. The gameplay keeps the classic turn-based structure fans expect, with elemental weaknesses, stylish menus, and those signature all-out attacks. But being a mobile and PC release, it also blends in gacha elements. Players can collect new personas and allies as they progress, but the balance is fair. You can enjoy the story and battles without feeling forced to spend money. Visually, it nails the series' signature style. Bold colors, sharp UI transitions, and dynamic effects make every encounter feel alive. Even on smaller screens, it carries that high-energy Persona vibe. The soundtrack also delivers, with jazzy beats and fast-paced tracks that set the tone for both combat and exploration. It may not have the same weight as the mainline games, but it succeeds at what it sets out to do: offer fans more Persona in a polished, accessible package. Whether you're looking for a quick fix of stylish battles or curious about a new story thread in the Persona world, The Phantom Next is a free-to-play spin-off that's easy to get into and surprisingly hard to put down. Bleach Rebirth of Souls brought something fans had been waiting years for, a proper console Bleach game after a long silence. Released in 2025, it steps away from the mobile-focused titles and delivers a full 3D arena fighter that brings the world of Tite Kubo's anime back to life. It isn't overloaded with gimmicks or endless rosters, but instead focuses on tight combat, flashy moves, and the kind of style you'd expect from Bleach. You control iconic characters like Ichigo, Rukia, and Byakuya in fast-paced battles that lean heavily on timing, combos, and dramatic finishers. The game's mechanics strike a balance between accessibility and depth. Newcomers can enjoy chaining flashy attacks, while veterans can dig into cancels, counters, and advanced setups. It feels like the right middle ground for anime fighters. Easy to enjoy, but rewarding if you put in the time. Visually, Rebirth of Souls hits hard. The cel-shaded look mirrors the anime, with special effects that explode across the screen during Bankai transformations or finishing blows. Every clash feels like it was lifted straight from the manga panels or anime arcs. The soundtrack adds intensity, blending rock-inspired tracks with atmospheric cues that fit perfectly with the action. It's not the largest fighting game of the year, but for fans of Bleach, it feels like a revival, a statement that the series still belongs in gaming. With its mix of style, nostalgia, and solid mechanics, Rebirth of Souls is a reminder of why Bleach once stood beside Naruto and Dragon Ball in the fighting game scene. Raidu Kuzunoha Remaster brings back one of the most unique spin-offs from the Shin Megami Tensei universe. Originally released on the PlayStation 2 as part of the Devil Summoner subseries, it mixes action combat with detective storytelling in a way that still feels fresh today. Instead of a traditional turn-based battle system, you control Raidu directly, swinging your sword in real time while also commanding demons to fight by your side. This blend of action and monster collecting gives the game a personality very different from the darker, slower mainline entries. The story is set in a stylized version of 1930s Tokyo, where Raidu works as a supernatural detective, investigating strange cases involving demons, cults, and conspiracies. The period setting, with its mix of early modern Japan and occult themes, creates an atmosphere unlike anything else in the Shin Megami Tensei series. Solving cases means balancing investigation, puzzle solving, and tough battles, and every decision feels important. What makes the remaster so exciting is how it improves visuals, polish, and accessibility without losing the game's distinct identity. The enhanced version smooths out combat, improves performance, and gives modern players a chance to finally experience one of the most overlooked gems in the Megaten universe. For fans of the franchise, this isn't just another spin-off, it's a fascinating experiment that proves SMT could be more than just turn-based RPGs. And that wraps up today's list. I hope you discovered a few games worth checking out. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Your support really helps the channel grow. And of course, more RPG and gaming deep dives are on the way. So stick around, because there's always another hidden gem waiting.